I want to take this opportunity to address the very serious and tragic circumstances of the airstrike that occurred in Kunduz.
U.S. General John Campbell is talking about this, a horrific attack on a Doctors Without Borders hospital in northeastern Afghanistan that claimed 22 civilian lives and injured dozens more. Many patients burned to death in their own beds. Doctors Without Borders is calling the bombing a crime and said an apology is not enough. The United Nations called the strike inexcusable.
We absolutely condemn the attack against the hospital in Kunduz.
Compounding the situation, the U.S. has offered 3 versions of what led to the attack. On Monday, backing away from the claim that U.S. troops were under attack. Now, American military brass say Afghans asked for help.
The Afghan forces advised that they were taking fire from enemy positions and asked for air support from U.S. forces. This is different from the initial reports, which indicated that U.S. forces were threatened and that the airstrike was called on their behalf.
This is the kind of U.S. military aircraft that unleashed the attack, an AC-130. It is a massive plane that can hover over a region delivering punishing firepower. In the aftermath of the attack, Doctors Without Borders is leaving the region and closing the hospital. That means there will no longer be trauma care available in the region. Devastating news considering the Taliban and Afghan forces have been locked in fierce fighting for control of Kunduz.
Before this bombing, we were pushing for more access for medicine, for healthcare workers to access this part of the region.
And to make matters worse and adding to anger from Afghan officials, 6 years ago, Kunduz was the site of another devastating air assault. At the time, German NATO forces called in that strike that ended up killing 142, and Mike, most of them were civilians.
Well, we know about these airstrikes, we know about the carnage, but why did this happen in the first place? What was going on?
It's interesting how they even got to this point, because there has been renewed fighting. The Taliban took Kunduz, a very critically important city in the northeast part of the country. Afghan forces were unsuccessful at driving them out. That is when the U.S. advisors came in and began helping them. So what the U.S. first said, well, this was some kind of offshoot, an accidental bombing. Then they said U.S. forces were under threat, under attack. No, that's not the problem. And now they say it was Afghan forces who called in this specific airstrike. And to be clear, from what we understand about this, U.S. Special Forces on the ground have to be there to call in a specific attack like that. A AC-130 just continues to hover over the area. The Special Forces then paint the target, put a radar symbol up there, and that is when the attack goes specifically on that facility. So that's the concern. How could it happen? 14 years of fighting, the U.S. has been there, and this happens again and again and again. Afghans are frustrated. The U.S. is left without answers, and several investigations are going on.
All right, Sean, thanks so much.